Stevie Lee, we begin with a logo, Little Debbie Snacks. Can you guess why we're leading off here with Little Debbie?
I don't know, man.
Let me, did you eat these as a child?
Absolutely.
I think
I'm a grown man and I still eat them.
Well, it's a great company, and what I'm about to show you is just a simple joke from one of our Southern TikTok comedians, Justin Nunley. I made a TikTok purchase, and I thought it was too hilarious. It involves Little Debbie, and we've got Big Deborah.
Big Deborah. Little Debbie done turned into Big Deborah.
Big Deborah. Hey, age will do that to a person.
Hey, man. And those Little Debbie snacks, for sure.
Whoa. Man, I'm telling you what, those snacks are the truth. I mean, they sold them at our middle school back in the day. They really did.
I like that.
I couldn't wait to show you. Couldn't wait. I got to get Chloe out of here. Not out of here, but just out of the podcast studio here. But episode 345, we're cranking them out, and there's a lot to talk about. But Stevie and I had to really narrow down our focus for this episode of the Pass Rush with the Stevie Lee, and because I think even our big family supporters here, Hargrove Roofing, would appreciate that we narrow things down, because that's what they do. They narrow it down to quality. And we all know their famous slogan, because you can see it, but it sounds better when Stevie says it.
Hargrove Roofing, nose on your roof.
That's right. Always. And you can call Mary and actually talk to her sometimes. One thing that I think it was such a busy week, and we'll date it back to earlier in the week, that was this previous week. Rodney Terry, Longhorn through and through, played at St. Edward's, was part of Barnes' staff and, of course, Chris Beard's staff, and we all knew what happened over a year ago. But last week when UCF marched into town, Texas blew a 16-point lead, and then the horns down happened. UCF pulled off the win at the Moody Center. You know what? Horns down doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. I almost expect it. From any team, anywhere, especially on the road. But RT in the handshake lines told those players, you don't do that. Just stood up for it. He was offended by it, but he was in the emotion. Your thoughts on that after the UCF game?
Yes, I hear you. It doesn't bother you. It doesn't bother a lot of people. But when you're in the heat of it, it really bothers me. But Rodney did the right thing. RT did the right thing by apologizing. But it does bother me.
Yeah.
In the heat of the game, in between the lines and things like that, you can do it. But the game is over. You won. We're shaking hands. Why do it then? In front of the players, like it's being disrespectful to the opponent, the game, the sportsmanship of it, right? You can do it during the game, in between the lines, from player to player, right? But when you go and do it with the against the fans, and then when you're trying to say good game, great sportsmanship, good game, this was fun, let's do it again sometimes, or something like that,
Right.
You don't do it then, And so RT, again, he did the right thing by apologizing. Those are kids, but, when he said we don't do that, they started talking back to him, as they were adults, talking to, or kids talking to an adult, and it's just it is disrespectful, but RT has to control his emotions. But I mean, I get where he's coming from, man. You want to say something, you want to do something about it, but That's why you got to win the game. So hate that argument too, but it's once we win the game, they wouldn't do that, and they but when we win the game, we wouldn't go up and do what they don't like either. You know what I mean? So it's I'm glad he apologized for it. Well, I wasn't looking for an apology, but
right.
The people that were looking for one, they got it.
Well, think about it. Here's what I want to say. Listen, I used to be offended by it.
Yeah.
I used to hate it.
Yeah.
And what did it for me was realizing when I was in Oklahoma, in both covering Stillwater and covering in Norman when I was in the media, then I realized I had a more objective mind. I said, you know what? It's ridiculous, but people love to beat Texas. And that's just part of what makes college sports great, in the sense that there's the fandom part of it. There's extreme fandom. But I agree with you. Rodney Terry is one of the greatest human beings I have ever met. Just a good human being. His faith is strong, deeply rooted Christian, but just a good human being. And like any human, he lost control of his emotions there. But we also got to remember, for a team like UCF, this is their first year in the Big 12. And for them to come into Austin, they had beaten Kansas just days prior, if I remember correctly. All right. That's a big deal for anybody to come in here, even more so for Central Florida. They lost control of their emotions because we just beat Texas in Austin. And here is the apology after Texas. Remember, Baylor was 9th in the country this past Saturday. And Texas beat them on a buzzer beater layup. And this was Rodney afterwards, at the very end, after that huge win, which really we could look back and say this turned this season around.
And if I offended some of our fans as well, and not handling myself the right way in terms of, going about it the right way, then, I apologize to our fan base as well and everything. And I understand what it means to be the head coach at the University of Texas and what our brand stands for. And I respect every opponent that we play, and have the utmost respect for them and their coaches. So.
There was, and you alluded to it. He's probably thought about it, and he's being the guy that he is. He thought about it, and that's just who he is. It's has humility, and I'm sure maybe CDC and CDC had a conversation. Maybe we probably should mention it and backtrack it and realize, hey, shouldn't have done it, but we are all human.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, so I was going to say, so it's done. We can leave it there, but let that fire you up and not lose at home. At least protect home court.
That's the best point.
And that should be your goal every year.
Yes.
You want to win every game, but it's basketball. It's not always possible, but protect home court all the ways,
Well, when this week started, I swear my math's pretty good, but there were 8 teams in the Big 12 ranked.
Really?
All right. And so their next 5 games are now faced. We're going to find out. This team needs to grow up. I mean, they've had a lot of new faces. It's not an excuse, but it is in this era of the transfer portal and everything. Not anyone can walk in and just become the talent that everyone thinks they should. And I'm not giving anyone an excuse. But sometimes I've seen some great teams become great teams because they were far from great early in the year, right around 3rd week of February, and build that momentum to March. I mean, this schedule includes, it's coming up. We've got U of H coming up here. It's just a lot of great programs. Oklahoma on the road is next. And if you don't think that what just happened, that Sooner student section, there's going to be some massive horns down.
Yeah, and that's okay because that's basically their symbol, their hand gesture. because they do that when they don't play us. You know what I mean?
They do it at weddings, sooner
Yeah,
weddings.
they do it at weddings, exactly. So we learn to expect that, but so somebody else coming from the outside, doing it as well, like it's just it gets ridiculous. But OU is OU. What's that?
I don't think Big Deborah. I don't know if she would do a horns down. Would she?
I don't know, man. She kind of looked like those OU girls. So.
Oh wow,
that's a dig.
Big Deborah, baby.
Yeah, man.
So I think Texas now the 2-4 in the Big 12. Not even the halfway point of the Big 12 schedule. I think now you're going to see a Texas team finish if they continue that. I mean, Baylor's that good.
Yeah.
Texas, I think right now I would project them to be at the 20-win mark of the season before NCAA tournament. And that'll be more than good enough to get them into probably a 6 seed, maybe 7.
Yeah.
But we talked about portal guys. Hey, this is a good transition to that conversation. How about this, Stevie? The transfer portal, I don't even know how to navigate it. I don't know if you have really studied it. I'm trying to. I don't know how you strategize it, but we don't get paid to do that. But all I got to say is Steve Sarkisian and that staff have, in my opinion, kind of figured this thing out.
Yeah.
In particular, his ties to Alabama.
Yeah. 3 of them from Alabama to Austin, man. And that was Isaiah Bond.
Yeah.
The 32-yard catch in the back of the end zone in the Iron Bowl to win it.
Yeah.
That's crazy that he's going to be on the 40 acres now, So
just like that.
Hats off to Coach for knowing the rules, playing the rules, and abiding by the rules, and actually playing the game, right? Because some people that are I think there are some coaches out there that does not like this whole transfer portal.
And I get it.
They're still trying to do it the high school way.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But in this new world, you adapt or die. Blockbuster had a chance to buy Netflix, and now look at Netflix, So you adapt or die.
Blockbuster, what is that?
Yeah, exactly. So Blockbuster didn't adapt, so they died. So Coach Sharp is adapting to the rules, adapting to what he can do, and we're still thriving, man. Like we have some big shoes to fill that left us, A
lot of playmakers on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
But this does not guarantee that Texas will just insert the key and go. But you're
right. You're right. But these dudes also have big time college experience right now, right?
Right.
And so a lot of times you take a gamble on high school kids to that will be able to handle the spotlights of big time college football. These guys, they have done it. Bond has been on the biggest game on TV, one of the biggest games on TV this year. Well, a couple of them with us when they played us in Tuscaloosa. It was a huge primetime game. The Iron Bowl was a huge primetime game. And then the national championship or college football playoffs was a huge primetime games. So these guys have been there, done it, and now we're picking them up here. You're right. It's not just a turnkey. They got to get in and work and learn this new system, and also keep your grades up in school. But Shark has proved that he can do it with Adonai Mitchell, right? Because Mitchell came over from Georgia.
He did.
And he plopped right into our program, made some huge plays for us this year. Almost made a huge play to win the game this past year in the college football playoffs against Washington. So I'm feeling really, really good about the way they can use the high school recruiting trail and this recruiting what do you call it? I don't know what you call it. Let's make up a word.
Recruiting the portal.
Transfer portal trail,
Yeah, that's
So
it's to what you said. It's basically described it. Listen, I'm all for the portal, but I'm only for it. You get one transfer where you don't have to sit at. And you can do it when you graduate. I get that. That's you should be able to.
What if you do 2 transfer, but that second transfer you lose a year?
Well, that's what I mean. You can do that, but I'm talking about once without losing a year. I think that should happen.
Okay.
But when you have, listen, I'm all for like Casey Thompson. This is his 7th year. He's going to finish at Oklahoma, where it all began. His family, his dad was a quarterback, and his brother played there before transferring. And I think no, did his brother stay? I can't remember. I covered him when he was at Southmore High School, just north of Norman. But I can't remember if he stayed the entire time. But I remember, but man, it's essential to have the transfer portal. That's what I'm trying to say. You can't eliminate it. You have to have it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of kids now, and this is not a slight on any coach or coaching staff, kids can make an emotional decisions. Or they do their homework, and they make a decision and realize after 2 years, you know what? This program's not for me. Or 2, the academics is not what I want. It's just not. It's just some schools can be overbearing and some aren't enough. Or people can thrive, realize, wow, I was this highly rated talent. I thought I was this. But now I compete against equal or greater talent in practice, and I'm not producing. I'm not playing as much as I thought I should. And there's nothing wrong with that. Get into another system.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. But I want to ask you this, but I will say this, that this right here, Amari Niblack, the tight end, I think that is an instant fill for JT Sanders at tight end.
Okay.
Again, he's got to prove it, but I think you've got somebody who's capable of doing it, and you've got some depth there with Gunnar Helm and some other tight ends.
Yeah.
I believe it's good. I really do.
Now, I'm all fired up for spring ball now. I can't wait to get out there.
Well, I want to ask you this. Brought up Casey Thompson. I don't like the criticism that kids get. It's their prerogative, and if people criticize a kid, and there's a tight end at Miami Hurricane, this is 9th year of college football. I get it. It sounds ridiculous, Stevie, but if people could do it, they would.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a kid problem. That's a NCAA problem.
It's a system.
The system problem for a 9th year. I don't know how you get a 9th year. I would love to hear that broken down. But my argument when people always say, have something negative to say about the transfer portal is, so these kids have to be beholden to a university and these coaches aren't? Like, the rules didn't change for the coaches. They can get up and leave just like Bo Davis did. Right?
Went to LSU.
Went to LSU for, I don't know why he would go to LSU, just to go back home, because we would have gave him a bag.
His son is transferring to play there.
Oh, he is. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I get that. But he had the right to up and leave if he wanted to.
Yeah.
So the kids should have the right to up and leave if they want to. If that's just like Nick Saban retiring, Shark could have woke up that next day and said, I want to take over that program. I don't want to be at Texas anymore. And he would have done it, and they would have hired him.
They love him. They love Sark in Tuscaloosa.
Exactly. And they would have welcomed him with open arms. I am so glad that his wife L'Oreal is having a great time here in Austin, because she ain't going nowhere. She ain't going back to Tuscaloosa. I guarantee you that. Now, we got a problem if that USC job open up.
Oof. He's not.
That's where they met.
They won't go back there. He wants to establish his identity here. I think.
I know he does. But hey, women in our lives are undefeated.
Always
undefeated.
Always.
So if she had the opportunity to be the first lady of Trojan football, you know it's going to be a conversation. He may not go.
Right.
She's going to have a conversation with him. Hey, babe.
Let's go to LA.
Are you sure? Because this is where we started. And isn't that where his kids are?
Well, his one son plays here.
Okay, but his girls, aren't they in LA?
That's a good question. I think you're right. I don't know for sure.
Yeah. So that's a conversation that he will probably have with her. So, but we're here now. They're in Austin. They're having a great time in Austin. The city of Austin has embraced L'Oreal like they embraced Sally Brown back in the day.
It's very similar.
Yeah, it's very similar. So she's making a legacy, doing great things here in Austin, and the city has embraced her, and she's embraced the city. So I knew they weren't going anywhere. They even mentioned it on Ryan Clark mentioned it on. I don't think it was it First Take. I think it was First Take. He mentioned that L'Oreal's not going anywhere. She's not going back to Tuscaloosa and leaving Austin, Texas. He said that, and I had already wrote that to some friends that we don't have anything to worry about. She ain't going back there, So there's not a Gucci store in Tuscaloosa, bro.
No, it's all mail order. Mail order.
Yeah, man.
Oh my God. Well, Stevie, we all know this is nothing new. Negative recruiting has existed since Darrell Royal, or even before that. But there's a lot of negativity toward Coach Prime and that Colorado program, and we think we all knew whoever took over that, including Prime, he did the right thing by creating momentum without even playing, a cachet, and he has that name. And I think he did a great job, despite them going 4-8, won their first 3 games. But when you are not deep on the interior lines, your success is limited.
Yeah.
It's limited. And they finished 4-8, and I get it. So to my point, apparently there's been a ton of negative recruiting, and recruits were recording their visits with other schools and recorded it on their phones. And he talked about that with RG3 on his podcast. And I wouldn't say, I don't think he made this up. You listen to this.
And, I would politely just call the head coach, look at man, I don't really know you. I wish the best for you, but be careful, because when these kids bring phones into your meeting room, you're exposed to certain things. I'm not going to put you out there, but just keep my name out your mouth.
He's not going to dance around or avoid any subject.
Yeah, that's I hate when that happens, man. It actually happens in my industry as well, in real estate, when you're trying to win listings. Yeah, it does. It happens. So I like to win and do anything on my own merits. I hate when someone tries to bring someone else down just to hype themselves up, and that's just not. It's not the way you do things. It's not integrity. It's not. And you as a person should not want that. And I'm glad that a kid has let Dion know that, a kid or some kids let Dion know that. And then Dion and by him saying that and going to this person, addressing it as a man, you need to watch out because you're being recorded. And so here going forward, watch out. That's the advice I give you. The next thing is do a better job of just keeping my name out of your mouth, please.
Yeah. I believe in karma. I really do.
Yeah, exactly. So that's not the way of doing it. That is negative recruiting, and that sucks.
That's horrible.
You win a kid on your own merit, not tearing someone else down.
Yeah, and that's the story of life too. It's what we should just hit pause right when you get that thought of tearing somebody down.
Right.
First of all, I just want to thank my Lord, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. It's been a heck of a year, and I think D'Amico hit on the nail. Our future is bright, man. But these type of losses suck, you know. That's a great Ravens team over there, and they deserve to win. And it's tough to just get embarrassed like that. But definitely, I think our future definitely is bright.
Houston Texans.
The future is bright for those guys, man. I enjoyed watching CJ play in the Texans uniforms. Hats off to them for going that far in the playoffs. And it does suck to lose like that, but they are ahead of schedule. They don't have nothing to worry about or hang their head about. Just do some not recruiting, but some trades and some picks this year. They're one or two players away from being really, really good and just keep building on that program. He's going to get a whole nother year, a whole year off season under his belt with the offensive coordinators and with the receivers, and they're going to get their timing down even better. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with out of Houston, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Never would I think we would talk about the Texans before the Dallas Cowboys, but the Houston Texans earned that right.
They did.
This podcast. I'm not a Texans fan, but I completely respect and put C.J. Stroud on another level. I know it's his rookie year, over 4,000 yards passing. I think 25 touchdowns to only 5 INTs, and I love him. He's very transparent about his faith, and I think that's great for young people to watch. And I think he was coached in California youth football by Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, he was. He said that Snoop said something about along the lines that CJ dominated his league.
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that. But the Texans, I would venture to say, are going to be right where back here again. I mean, they lost to a Baltimore Ravens team that I think could win the Super Bowl. Big fan of Lamar Jackson. I mean, that
huge
kid,
fan.
He's hilarious whenever he speaks. But if you look back at that game, the Texans held their own for a while.
Absolutely, they did.
Very physical defense.
Yeah.
But Baltimore, Harbaugh, and that staff figured it out and just wore Houston's front down.
Yeah, they did. But it was fun. It was a fun year for them, and it was fun. That game was fun to watch.
It was, and we're going to talk about the Cowboys on in the segment too. But before we get there, Sports Illustrated, man, the future is unknown for this magazine. They laid off everybody, and Sports Illustrated has been around for decades. It really was a big part for me and for you, and I had subscriptions multiple times in my life to this great magazine. These are the two on the left and right are two of the more recent ones involving the Longhorns. Of course, Stevie, the one in the middle, it was a young man's paradise to get the swimsuit edition. It's not going to happen anymore. That's the amazingly striking Kathy Ireland. Man, she's still a looker.
I don't know who Catherine Ireland is, but
I do.
Yeah, and you know what else sucks about the Sports Illustrated? They had a Sports Illustrated campus edition.
Yep.
When I was in college, and so that's going away too, I guess, or that may have gone away a while ago. But it was all Texas sports, but powered by, I guess, Sports Illustrated. I don't know how I did it, but yeah, man, that sucks that they're going away. Hopefully, they stay on digitally or something like that.
Maybe a good route, but man, it's a bad trend with newspapers, periodicals.
You're right, and it's like the end of an era, because Sports Illustrated has been around as long as I can remember, and people gracing the cover of Sports Illustrated was something to say. Yeah, man, such and such. Vince Young was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Derek Johnson, DJ, was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, or Ricky Williams did the Heisman polls on the cover of Sports Illustrated, you know?
Texas Tornado. I remember the headline with Ricky.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the end of an era, man. You know, all good things come to an end. I do have a feeling that somebody will reboot this back up in a few years. It's the whole thing I told you earlier, adapt or die, right?
Yep.
Sports Illustrated could have really easily gone to a digital platform
And pay through that.
And it could have it was big. Sports Illustrated was huge. It could have compete with, you know, ESPN online. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like when I go online to go and find scores and things like that, I just go to my ESPN app. Sports Illustrated could have easily gone on to be a news app, you know?
Yep. And CBS Sports has elevated their digital platform to compete.
Exactly. You got to adapt or die, man, and look like Sports Illustrated is dying.
Yeah, and I would venture to say they'll come up with something, but I hope it does. Wow, that Sports Illustrated edition was something else. It really was, man.
That swimsuit edition?
Yeah, that was something.
Aren't they the ones that did the athletes?
They sure did. Oh yeah.
That was always fun too, man.
That was fun. You don't really see what they look like out of uniform. You know, it's interesting. But we know how Stevie feels about Hargrove Roofing and giving tutorials on how to set up a business strategy at Hargrove. We'll see you on the other side of this break.
Here at Hargrove Roofing, we try to think outside the box to kind of get the creative juices flowing. So I brought in my friend Stevie Lee, former defensive tackle for the Texas Longhorns. He's going to help the team strategize, really motivate them, light a fire.
This guy's going to block down. This guy's going to block down. You put your butt into the guard, and that way my Mike linebacker gets free to do what?
Not only are they going to learn a thing or two, but they're going to also leave with a great attitude and a bunch of smiles on their faces.
I'm sorry, what does this have to do with roofing exactly?
Get out.
Right now.
I said get out.
For me, that's what it's all about. It's just having fun, making our employees have a great time. Hargrove Roofing. Know who's on your roof.
That's all we ask. Putting your damn championship on the table and you couldn't do it. All their asses gotta go.
Man, that's passion. That was right after the Cowboys were absolutely effing destroyed in the wild card playoff round last week. Stevie, what were your thoughts? Because we really didn't get an opportunity to really break it down. I love the passion, but he was talking about the older Cowboys when he became a Cowboy in '88, the last year of Tom Landry's era. You know, guys like Drew Pearson, Hollywood Henderson, Roger Staubach, all those greats said, listen, we all put championships on the table here for the Cowboys. It's time for you to bring it back.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It was something off between Dak and CeeDee Lamb that game too, man. I felt like CeeDee was pouting a little bit during that game. I don't know what was going on, and I haven't heard what was going on, but they weren't on the same page offensively. I don't know, man. Defense, I mean, I don't think that they were horrible defensively. Dak threw 2 interceptions, and one was a pick six, right? Or was it 2 pick six?
2. But listen, that contributed to the loss, obviously. But I don't think Dak's at fault for this game. I think the game.
I don't think so either. I don't think he's at fault. I don't think he's at fault for the game. So I think that Dak played well, other than those 2 pick sixes. And I think the defense played well. I don't think that there was a lot of togetherness, continuity within the offense. You know, like I said, CD was pouting during the game. I don't know what was going on there. The O-line was not gelling like they usually gel on the ground game. Dak was running for his life for a lot of the game. But it was bad. It was bad. Michael Irving should have been pissed because it was like they did not come out to play a playoff game. In the NFL, your game definitely supposed to elevate during the playoffs, and they did not elevate. They just thought it was a middle of the season type game.
Well, I'll say this, and we'll pick up the pace on this. Defensively, that's where they lost this game. And
you think so?
Number one, the receivers were covered up by a zone defense the entire game. Two, the defensive game plan by Quinn was horrible. But to his defense, somewhat, they played a dime package for a majority of the game, 6 defensive backs. There was no presence of a linebacker. Leighton Vander Esch, who's injured, I would venture to say here in the offseason, they're going to cut him and probably draft or find in the free agent market some solid linebackers. And because if you don't have good enough linebackers, especially in the middle, what we saw happen in that playoff game is going to happen. Now, not taking anything away against Green Bay. They're really good, and they're just like the Texans. Their future is really bright with Love at QB, even though they got knocked out on of the playoffs on Saturday. But that's a good team, good Green Bay team. But the physicality and the flexibility, if you will, defensively doesn't exist with that personnel. They had Parsons was basically equalized. Green Bay found a way to get him where he was not effective out of that game.
Okay, I'll give you that, I guess.
The game plan by Green Bay, they executed a great game plan. They took Micah Parsons out of that game for the most part.
Yeah. Well, the Dallas defense gave up 34 points, and that's a problem, yes. They scored 48, but that was on 2 pick sixes. But the Dallas Cowboys as a whole, if you score 34 points, you can still win the game. You know what I mean? If you're the Dallas Cowboys and your opponent scored 34 points, you have enough weapons on your team to score more than 34 points. You can still win the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Dak threw those 2 interceptions for pick sixes. I would have rather. I don't know what I'm saying. I think that I don't want to call the defense out and say the defense played horrible, because as I watched the game, it's hard to justify them not playing horrible when they scored 48 points. But as I watched the game, there was this bend but don't break type mentality. You know, you disagree?
I just think when you allow a running back who's a young running back,
that's true,
Jones, to just gash you.
Yeah,
but we saw
he did gas him. A UTEP running back too.
Yeah.
He did gash him up the middle. You're right. Okay,
great game.
I could be wrong. I've been wrong before.
I've been wrong a lot. But when you look at the offseason, Jerry Jones told them in the team meeting, we have to win now.
Yeah.
Everybody, every one of them. So I'll say this. Dak's not going anywhere, but I think he would thrive in another system. But what do the Cowboys do? You need another running back, number one. I love Pollard, but he's not your number one guy. He's a good running back. He's a good running back. He thrived when he had Zeke ahead of him.
So they should have tried to take Bijan then, huh?
Potentially.
Last year they should have did everything because they had a chance to get him, right? You had to trade up.
Yeah, but I think you've got to trade now to rework your defense, focus on your defense, get another receiver and a running back, and draft a quarterback?
No. Dak still got years with him. I think Jerry needs to lean on some experts to see what kind of system he needs to get in for Dak. I think it's easier to replace the system than it is the quarterback. Because Dak has the arm, Dak has the legs.
He's intelligent.
Dak is still fairly young. He probably have another 4 years in him. What do you think?
Yeah. I think 3 to 4 years.
3 to 4 years. So I will replace my system around him and not my system around the quarterback and not my quarterback around some system.
His window is closing. Let's say that.
Okay. Yeah.
He's approaching the end of that highly productive window.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean.
Is it highly productive?
Yardage wise.
Stats wise, yeah.
Stat wise, he's productive. No doubt.
But not
we're measured on championships.
Yeah, championships, wins, and losses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got that. I think they got the kicker figured out, even though he doinked one off.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold that. That kid was amazing. Aubrey.
Yeah.
But the proof right here, man, it's 5 wins in the playoffs since that 95 season.
Yeah.
After that, the season afterward. So the one constant is that the Joneses have to change, period.
Yeah.
The Joneses are the problem.
The Joneses are the problem.
I mean, they've got to see this, man. The Cowboys are relevant, yes. They are relevant. But to get back to where they should be, the Jones have to change.
Yeah.
It's a culture thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, they got to let go of the reins. They got to let go and let somebody else be the actual GM.
We all know that. I want to show you something cool, kind of switching to basketball. How about the Fab Five from the University of Michigan? I know there's only 4 in this picture, but on the far right, that's Ray Jackson, right here in Austin, Texas. Ray has told me that they have stayed in touch to a point through texting. They have a text thread of the 5. But they've kind of been separate, but I love to see this. They're all together. That was an iconic group of college basketball. Yeah. I think college basketball was the best it's ever been during that era.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm gonna argue with you. I think the best era of college basketball was golly, I can't remember the year. It was the year that we went to the Final Four.
2003.
Was it 03?
And Carmelo as Syracuse.
Carmelo Anthony and that whole class. You got TJ Ford, James Thomas. You got Royal Ivy. That's just at Texas. And then, like you said, who was in that draft class with Carmelo Anthony? That was a huge class back then.
It was deep.
I'll have to look that up, and people at home, the viewers at home, look it up.
Yeah,
but that was a really big, huge year for college basketball back then. Even though the Fab Five was great and they played some really, really good basketball, that phantom timeout that Chris Webber called, I always go back to that. But they were a good basketball team. But I think that 03 to 05 years, those were some good basketball players coming out, and some of them were still playing. Yeah. LeBron James, Yeah, that was some good baskall back then.
No, it was
Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade back then.
Marquette.
Yeah, Marquette. Golly. But yeah, it was still some good basketball back then, man. So
See,
don't count 03 to 05 out.
Those are great. And even recently, college basketball is great, period. But the reason why I say like this era right here, late 80s to the mid 90s, Kentucky, great. Duke, North Carolina, Michigan, UNLV, Maryland, UCLA, Arkansas, you know, you had some, even Rhode Island with Penders before he came to Texas. You had some great Cal teams, Michigan State, Ohio State. It just had some great teams. And you fast forward now, the ACC is irrelevant, man. North Carolina's not what they once were. Duke is definitely not. But you had some iconic coaches step down. We're keeping basketball. S Sports Center Top 10 dunk from my alma mater, the Stephen F. Austin State University.
The Lumberjacks are in this thing at all at the moment. Oh, my. Wow. Not going to take the screen there from Jaleel O'Brien, and then right over the top of Danny McBride with the flush right there. I hope you get that.
Yeah, he got up there, man.
Woo! Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
Vertical. Ups. Posterize.
Yeah.
Love it. Axum Jacks, Kyle Keller, belated happy birthday to the head coach. They're 12-6 right now. Hopefully they get back to their old winning ways. TikToking the man cave, my friend. I'll just say I got a test. It's a test for you.
Apparently, if you hear Dahlia, you are depressed, and if you hear Rose, you have ADHD. In a few seconds, I will play a sound. Comment which one you hear. Penis.
Oh, man, you got me. I leaned in, bro.
I saw it.
I leaned in. So what does it mean if I heard that?
I mean, you better check yourself.
Yeah.
Hey, Big Deborah heard that.
Yeah, I'm sure Big Deborah heard that. That's all they hear at OU. That's funny, man.
Hey, man, tell me something good.
Stevie Lee, we both heard penis. Tell me something good, my brother.
Oh, man, something good right now, man. Dude, everything's all good in my end of life right now, man. I'm having a good time with my girls. But something good, man. Just enjoying life right now. For me, I'm gonna keep it personal, I guess. For me, I'm really enjoying my girls, enjoying my wife, enjoying family. You know, we had some tragic things happen this with a friend of mine and one of my teammates from high school and college. His sister passed away, and she's a friend of mine ever since I was a freshman in high school. But you know that part sucks. But it also let me start thinking and embracing life that I do have. She was 46 when she died of we think a blood clot, an illness, nothing crazy or anything like that. Just something that took her away. And I'm starting to you start to think about your own mortality and being here for your family. So you start to appreciate things a little bit more. So something good for me, man, is I'm embracing and loving on my kids, loving on my wife, loving on my family. My parents are heading out to Cabo tomorrow morning. I'm happy for them for doing that. My mom just turned 60 today.
Happy birthday, Mama Lee.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's something good for me, man. I'm blessed to have my family, my parents still with me. And around some good people that I'm trying to raise, So
well,
something good, man.
I'll tell you that's great because I know how great of a father you are and husband and son.
I appreciate it.
You're a fine American individual. I'll tell you something good, man. I too lost an acquaintance. Went to high school with him. His name was Danny Gonzalez, here local. He just dealt with some demons that so many people do, and he overcame quite a few. And we think a blood clot caused his death as well recently this week. So a lot of, and he followed this podcast some. It's just we disconnected some because he was going through so much. But I always, when he messaged me, I would try to help him. Just needed some guidance to handle the healthcare industry, and but I tell you something good that I hope that his family, they find some peace in this. That I think we all should be a positive out of this. Is to your point, is start turning inward and looking at what we're doing proactively to not only provide positivity for our own health, but for our lives. Don't just go off the edge and do all these dangerous things, but go live. Because these are to grab our attention, because these people that we've lost, they want us to live.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good stuff, man.
That's just how I feel. I don't know if that's true, but I feel strongly it is. So on that note, for Big Deborah and the Hargrove family, Shreveport, Austin, throughout Texas, and the beautiful family of the Stevie Lee, and, of course, the OG Man Cave boys, that being Hardball Hards, Big Mike, and Coach Mo. What do we tell them, Stevie Lee?
We out.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up.
I said get out.